Senator Reynolds.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Everywhere I go in Western Australia now, sadly, I hear from locals that Australia is heading in the very wrong direction under the Albanese Labor government. In fact, I have not heard one person who say they think the nation and our state of Western Australia is heading in the right direction. When talking to locals and small business owners in Perth's northern suburbs with Liberal for PS Jan Norberger, the feedback is always and sadly the same. After 12 interest rate rises under Labor, not just under Labor but caused by Labor's inflationary policies, including pump priming the economy and interest rates with an additional $315 billion into the economy, household budgets have been impacted and significantly diminished. Now, whether it's the weekly grocery shop, the monthly bills or the cost of doing business for small business, the cost of living is biting into all Australian households. And the sad reality is, no matter which way you look at it, West Australians are worse off under Anthony Albanese. Now, while interest rates are falling in New Zealand, Canada, the UK and the United States, there is no sign of relief yet for Australian families. Labor is letting down residents in Perth's northern suburbs, including suburbs such as Yanchep and Two Rocks. And not only are they increasing the cost of living for residents in Perth's northern coastal suburbs, they are also failing them by not providing adequate health care. For example, there will be 200,000 new residents over the next 20 years in the Northern Corridor, and it is one of the fastest-growing regions in Australia. But yet, federal and state Labor are failing completely to make any provision for new hospitals, new health campuses to support the people in the in those northern suburbs. Serious pressures continue to mount on the Joondalup Health Campus, which is a 60-kilometre round trip, risking patients not receiving care within that golden hour. In fact, sometimes a round trip can take more than 2 hours, and given the pressure on Joondalup Hospital, guess what they find? In last month alone at Joondalup Hospital there were 800 hours of ramping, highlighting the urgent need to take the pressure off Joondalup Health. But 800 hours of ramping in 1 month means that patients who are critically ill were sitting outside of the hospital in an ambulance or lying for over 800 hours under Labor, and that is shameful. So that's one of the many reasons that I'm supporting Jan Norberger, who is fighting for a new hospital in Yanchep, to ensure that people who choose to make the north coastal area of Perth their home, so that they can get the same health support as everybody else. But I'm also dismayed to hear from local residents in Ellenbrook in Perth how much they are struggling with the daily household bills and the Albanese government's cost of living crisis for them. Now, it is a fact that Australia has suffered the single biggest fall in household disposable incomes across all developed countries, not just some, but across all developed countries over the last 2 years, 2.5 years now, under Labor. This strain on Australian households, West Australian households in the case of the people I represent, combined with the spiralling costs of buying a house or renting a house, means that the Australian dream of home ownership, or even just having your own home to live in, has never been further out of reach for hard-working families, particularly in suburbs like Ellenbrook in Perth. And I've been working with David Good, our Liberal candidate for Hasluck, and we have both heard from so many locals across Ellenbrook that particularly younger Australians are struggling not only just to find a rental, but are finding it almost impossible to get a mortgage, and even when they do have one, to actually find a house that they can afford. Now, David Good, as a finance broker, has decades of experience helping people achieve home ownership, and he understands just how critical it is for families and for younger Australians to have the opportunity to buy their own home and have their stake and have their own piece of Australia. But sadly, after just 2.5 years of the Albanese Labor government, it feels like for so many West Australians that dream is slipping away. Now, Labor's failure to address the housing crisis has made it hard for families to get ahead. But let's just have a look at how Labor has caused this to happen so quickly in less than 2.5 years. So we've seen in Western Australia in particular, but nationwide, record high construction costs, which have been driven by a building industry that has been held completely to ransom by the supporters, by the unions that those opposite are so proud to be members of, the CFMEU. And they are pricing Western Australians out of the market. I think the latest was that they put at least a 20% premium on the cost of producing houses now in Western Australia. And unlike those opposite who yesterday, again in question time, were sitting there talking about all of the new programs that they've announced and they've implemented and all of these new homes they're going to build, guess how many they've actually built with all of those programs and all of that money over the last 2.5 years? Exactly right, Senator Lambie. They have not built a single home in that time. But yet they keep coming in this place and saying, we've got XYZ millions and billions of dollars for housing and we've got this great policy here. But it sounds like Sir Humphrey Appleby's hospital. It's a great hospital, it's a great plan in this case, but it doesn't have a single patient. And under their program, we've got these policies and policies, but have not delivered a single home. So our plan, unlike those opposite, is incredibly practical and it will work. So we are looking to unlock, our policy is to unlock 500,000 homes and funding essential infrastructure like water, power and sewerage, and rebalancing the migration system properly to ease pressure on housing demand. Those opposite, when they came into government, let's open the migration gates. Let's open the floodgates. We do need more migrants here in Australia, but we don't need yoga instructors and things like that those opposite have put on the critical list. We need electricians, we need builders, we need bricklayers, we need engineers, and we do need students. But of course, those opposite, hundreds of thousands of extra people coming into this country, and they forgot. Well, if you're going to bring hundreds of thousands of people into Australia, they need to live somewhere. And those geniuses didn't stop to think, if we let so many people coming in so quickly, where are they going to live? So that has further contributed to the housing shortage and the spiralling costs of rentals and also homes to build. So unlike those opposite, we will restore the Australian dream of home ownership because, as Liberals, we understand not only the importance of home ownership and rentals to Australians, but we have always been able to deliver the policies to make that a reality. With those opposite, after 2.5+ years, haven't delivered a single home, and they keep driving up. They've driven up through their inflationary policies 12 interest rate hikes in their term of government. They've put the pressure on cost of living for all Australians. Australians are struggling, and they are struggling to make the decision, do I feed my family tonight or do I turn the heater on? And it is unforgivable what those opposite have done to our nation in 2.5 years. Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Thank you.